What's up everybody, Chris Jacobs for Mecum Auctions, and today I'm in Western New Jersey to check out another fantastic collection that will be crossing the auction block in Kissimmee in January. Apparently this is a very eclectic gathering of cars. You got some Corvettes, you got some Tri-5s, basically a little bit of everything. Join me as I say hello to Anthony Giordano and check out the Double G collection. Anthony, thank you so much for having me up here. This is an amazing setting. It's so cool to be surrounded by all these beautiful machines. But before we get into the cars, let's start by you telling me, what about collecting are you interested in?
I think collecting started with me probably when I was very young, because my grandfather and my dad were in the junk business. So that's probably what started me in collecting. And then I started with sports memorabilia, cars and watches and anything else you can think about collecting.
Can you pinpoint the birth of your love of cars and
the birth of the love of cars started with when I was young enough to drive. I purchased my first car, which was a 1965 GTO. They stole my car 6 months after I got out of the service. They found it with the engine out and the rear gone. So when I was fortunate enough to be able to afford to buy a collection, my goal was to find a 65 Aquamarine GTO. So needless to say, I went out and I found a documented numbers matching 65 and redid the whole car over to my specs.
So Anthony, in your consignment, over 40 cars, wide range of makes and models. And to segue right into it, as I'm looking at your 64 Tri-Power 389 GTO right here, let's start with that one. Was this one acquired because of that same 65 GTO?
Yes, I bought the 64 because when I started to do my homework and learned that 1964 was the first year that you could order a GTO, it was on a Tempest Le Mans body, 4-speed.
389.
So after I did my 65, I said, you know, I'd love to have that 64. So I went out and the same gentleman that restored my 65 restored my 64.
So let's talk about your amazing lineup of C1 and C2 Corvettes that are going to Kissimmee. Let's start at the beginning.
The beginning, obviously, is the 53. Okay, and my goal on that body style was to find naturally the 53s were only made in white, so that was my first white car. I said it would be nice to have a red, white, and blue, 53, 54, 55. So that was my goal, and I completed that.
Gorgeous restoration on the 53 and low number in the run, number 96 of the 300.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you've got the Polo White 53, you've got the Pennant Blue 54, which was the first year that you could get the car in different colors, red, blue, and black, which was the most rare. But you chose that beautiful blue because of that red, white, and blue run.
Exactly, and the 55 was the first year for the V8. So
yes.
I was stuck, I had to find the red one, you know.
You wanted a Fuelie 57, correct?
Yes, first year fuel injection, had to be a fuel injection. And that was actually the second Corvette I purchased. And a friend of mine from Ohio, when I purchased, that's a Triple Crown car, by the way. He knew so much about Corvettes. I said, you know what, find me the rest of them, and he did.
And what's your opinion of the 58? I know it's kind of a polarizing year in Corvette because of the changes that Harley Earl made on the hood and the suspenders. Are you a fan of the 58?
I'm a big fan of the 58. I mean, I think it's a unique car, and I wasn't a big fan of the color, that yellow color, but it was a one-year color, and everybody that saw it said, oh, you got to get that color, you got to get that color. And then after I purchased it, it kind of grew on me.
And then, of course, we get to the first year of the C2 63, iconic car, the split window. Yeah. Is that your favorite of all your Corvettes?
No, I would have to say my favorite probably would be the 53 because it's the first.
Yeah, okay. The most rare. Yeah. And as I said, yours is impeccably restored. Really, really nice example. So they don't come up very often, especially in the shape that yours is in. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's shift to another Chevrolet model, to your nice little collection of Tri-5s. You've got the 55, the 56, and the 57.
57, yep. And
all beautiful.
My 55 and my 56, actually I only had 3 vehicles that I own restored. The rest of them I purchased them the way they were. But when I did my 55 and 56, I had read about you probably know the name very well, the Snodgrass brothers in Florida.
Yes.
And they did those 2 cars for me. The 57 was in an auction. I think it was the first time that Mecum had 3,500 cars in an auction. I forget what year it was. And I flew down strictly for that car. And when I saw the car, it was a premier car for the auction, so they had the banner that's hanging behind me up on the wall. And I went over to Dana and I said, I'm interested in buying that 57 Inca Silver Chevrolet, fuel injected, by the way. If I buy that car, could I buy that banner? He said, if you buy the car, I'll give you the banner. Well, when they delivered that car a couple weeks later, that banner was in the car. And I was so impressed that I called him up and I thanked him for it. And he said, if you ever sell your collection, keep me in mind. And here we are.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about some of the blue oval examples in your collection that are going to Mecum. I can see the T-Bird over there and the Fairlane. You've got a really cool Edsel.
It's funny because Edsel, I guess, was Ford's biggest failure, right? I just always loved the body style of the car, the way it looked, the uniqueness of it, and I had to find an Edsel. So it took me a good 10 years to find that car. And I bought that from a real dear friend of mine, actually, that collected the kind of cars that I did. I mean, he was a fanatic with, how they had the look and stuff, so. The T-Bird, actually, I bought that from Amos Minter. And, Mr. Minter is known for the restoration of those cars.
Yeah, so they're the premier.
Yep, we flew to Dallas and purchased that. And it's amazing because when you open that hood and you look under there, you kind of wonder, is that the way these cars came out of off the assembly line?
Yeah.
Did they really come out looking like this, or should they create another way to judge these cars?
Right.
So.
Yeah, we've had a few Minter Thunderbirds go through auction at Mecum, and they always get a very high price. So let's talk about a few of those one-offs in your collection. Talk first about the Beetle.
I just feel like any car collector needs to have 2 vehicles in their collection. And one's got to be a Volkswagen Beetle, and the other one should be a DeLorean.
Which you also have, I see.
I not only have, I have the lowest documented DeLorean in the country, they say. It's got 35 miles on it, that's
Wow. Well, and ironically, and you probably didn't know this back when you were writing those checks out for your car payments, that John DeLorean was the father of the GTO.
No, yeah. You think about it, right? This guy was a genius. But.
So it's interesting that you say that every collection should have a Beetle and a DeLorean. This Beetle in particular, though, you know a lot about this history-wise. There's a lot of paperwork associated with it, right?
Of all the cars I own, I have the most documentation and paperwork on that Beetle. It's got to be 8 inches high. From the very first day it was sold, from the owner, from the plates as it came out of the restoration pictures. I mean, it's phenomenal. And that color, when I saw it, when I found it, I didn't think it was, a color that was manufactured that year, but it's all true to everything.
So talk about the Studebaker a little bit.
The Studebaker, I love the body style, I love the car, and I just had to have one. So I searched, and I think we found that one out in Minnesota. So, and they're far and few between to find them in the kind of conditions that
I was going to say, it's a very, very well-restored example that you have, and I'm right there with you on the style of that car. I love it too.
It's just so different.
All right, let's finish up with possibly the crown jewel of your collection that's going to Kissimmee, which is the 57 Gullwing.
Yes, the 57 Gullwing, the 190, and the 280 were all done by the same gentleman. He restored all 3 of the cars. And the 57 is, to me, it's a real special car because it's loaded with the options. It has the Rudge wheels, it has the radio, the fog lights, the matching luggage. To me, if you're going to own a Gullwing, it's got to be that color.
I was going to say the silver over red is just iconic for that car.
And it's funny because I've seen a lot of silver Gullwings restored, but if you look at this car, especially outside in the light, that silver color has a green tint to it. When it was restored, and I asked the gentleman that was restoring it, he said, that's the true color.
Well, I guess the question that people will want to know the answer to is why. Why now? Are you planning on kind of cleaning house and refilling with different cars in your collection? Or are you moving on to collecting other things? Why are you selling all of your cars?
I'm selling my cars basically because we've all enjoyed them. My boys have enjoyed them, and my grandsons are not into it. So I've enjoyed it, and I just think it's time for someone else to take this type of quality cars and enjoy them also.
Well, again, I really appreciate you having me in here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It's a really, really cool collection. I'm looking forward to seeing them go across the block in January. And of course, you will be there?
Yes.
Fantastic.
I'll be there. My sons and I.
You bet. A pleasure.
My pleasure.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.